So I've been thinking about this thing that keeps coming up in conversations with other security folks. We'll be talking about some new breach or some sketchy app permissions. And someone always says something like, well, people just don't care about privacy anymore. And I think that's partly true, but I'd also missing the point. Here's what I see happening. Someone downloads TikTok or whatever the app of the month is, and they just tap through all the permissions, location, contacts, camera, microphone, whatever. They want the thing to work, so they say yes to everything. Then later, maybe they hear about some data getting sold or leaked, and they are genuinely surprised. But here's where it gets interesting. These same people lock their cars, they close their curtains at night, they don't hand out their home address to random strangers on the street. So it's not that they don't understand privacy as a concept. I think the problem is invisibility. When you hand someone your phone number, you know you're doing it. When an app scrapes your contacts in the background, you don't feel it happening. There's no physical sensation, no obvious transaction. Plus, the benefits are immediate and the costs are abstract. You get your funny videos right now. The privacy cost, maybe something bad happens to someone else somewhere else later, maybe. Let me give you a concrete example of how this plays out. Last month, I was helping a colleague troubleshoot why his phone battery was draining so fast. We went through his location services and he had 47 apps with always location access. 47, including a recipe app, a calculator, and something called Parking Meter Helper that he'd years ago and forgot about. Each of those apps was pinging his GPS constantly, building a detailed map of everywhere he goes. The recipe app knew he visits the gym every Tuesday and Thursday. The calculator knew he stops at the same coffee shop every morning. The parking app knew where he works, where he lives, where his kids go to school. He was horrified. But here's the thing. He's not stupid. He's a software engineer. He just never connected the dots between allowing location access and this app now knows my entire life pattern. This is what I mean by invisibility. The transaction feels like nothing, but the consequences are everything. But here's the thing. You don't have to become a hermit to take back some control. I'm not talking about going off grid or using some complicated setup that breaks half your apps. Start with permissions. When you install something new, actually read what it's asking for. Does a flashlight app really need access to your contacts? Probably not. iOS and Android both let you deny specific permissions now. Use that as a starting point. Using location as an example, here's how to actually do this. On iPhone, go to Settings, then Privacy and Security, then Location Services. You'll see every app that's asked for location access and what level you've given it. Most of them should be never or ask next time. The ones that actually need it, like Maps or Uber, can be while using app. Almost nothing needs always access. On Android, it's settings, then apps, then app permissions. Same idea, different path. Go through location first, then camera, then microphone. You'll probably find some weird stuff in there. Email is a low-hanging fruit too. Stop using the same email for everything. Get a throwaway email account that you use for signing up for random stuff. When it inevitably gets compromised or sold, it doesn't touch your actual email. And it takes just 2 minutes to set up. But let me be more specific about this. I actually have several email addresses. My real one that I use for work, banking, important stuff, a secondary one for shopping, newsletters, accounts I actually care about but aren't critical, and a throwaway one for everything else, free trials, one-time signups, sketchy websites. You can do this with Gmail aliases too. If your email is john.smith@gmail.com, you can use john.smith plus shopping@gmail.com or john.smith plus netflix@gmail.com. They all go to the same inbox, but you can filter them and see who's selling your email address. When you start getting spam addressed to john.smith plus netflix@gmail.com, you know exactly who leaked it. Speaking of emails, if you're still using the same password everywhere, just stop. I get it. Password managers feel like homework, but pick one. Bitwarden is free, or choose one password if you want to pay and let it generate random passwords for you. You'll only need to remember one master password instead of trying to remember 50 variations of your dog's name plus your birthday. I see people get stuck on this one because they think it's complicated. It's not. Here's exactly what happens. You install Bitwarden or 1Password, you import your saved passwords from your browser, and then whenever you sign up for something new, you click generate password instead of typing in password 123 again. The other thing people don't realize is how much this protects you from credential stuffing attacks. That's when hackers take a list of stolen passwords from one site and try them on other sites. If your LinkedIn password is the same as your banking password and LinkedIn gets breached, suddenly your bank account is at risk. This is where I get a little more specific about the technical stuff. Chrome tracks your browsing history, your search history, which websites you visit, how long you spend on each page, what you click on, what you download. All of this gets tied to your Google account and used to build an advertising profile. Firefox has enhanced tracking protection turned on by default now. It blocks third-party tracking cookies, crypto miners, fingerprinting scripts. It's not perfect, nothing is, but it's significantly more private than Chrome out of the box. Unique passwords everywhere means one breach can't cascade into others. Location tracking is probably the creepiest one because it's so precise. Go into your phone settings right now and look at which apps have location access. I bet there are some surprises in there. That shopping app doesn't need to know where you are all the time. Neither does that game you downloaded last month. The thing about location data is how revealing it is. Researchers have shown that just knowing where someone goes and when can predict a lot about their life. Your political preferences, your health conditions, your relationship status, your income level, all from GPS coordinates. There was a study where researchers bought anonymized location data from a data broker, completely legal by the way, and were able to identify individual people just by looking at their movement patterns. Home address to work address to gym to specific restaurant on Friday nights. It's like a fingerprint. Oh, and browsers. If you're using Chrome for everything, consider Firefox or Safari for some of your browsing. Chrome's business model is literally knowing everything you do online. Firefox isn't perfect, but it's not trying to build an advertising. Safari has intelligent tracking prevention, which does similar stuff. It's actually pretty aggressive about blocking trackers, sometimes to the point where it breaks websites that rely heavily on tracking. You can also use browser extensions to block more stuff. uBlock Origin is probably the best ad blocker, but it also blocks a lot of tracking scripts. Privacy Badger automatically blocks trackers it detects. Both are free and work well. Here's one that feels paranoid but isn't. When you're setting up accounts, think about what information you actually need to give them. You don't need to put your real birthday on every social media account. You don't need to use your real name for every service. Sometimes John Smith works just fine. I have a fake persona I use for stuff that doesn't matter. Generic name, fake birthday, throwaway email. I use it for free trials, newsletter signups, creating accounts on random forums. It's not for anything illegal or deceptive, just for situations where my real identity isn't relevant. The birthday thing is particularly important because it's often used for account recovery. If someone knows your email address and your birthday, they might be able to reset your password on various accounts. Using a fake birthday, one you can remember, adds a layer of protection. Social media privacy settings are buried on purpose, but they exist. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, they all have ways to limit who sees your stuff and what data they collect. It's not intuitive, but spending 20 minutes going through those settings is worth it. Facebook's privacy settings are deliberately confusing, but here are the big ones. Turn off facial recognition, limit who can look you up using your email or phone number, turn off location tracking, and review what information you're sharing with apps. Instagram is owned by Facebook, so it's similarly invasive. Turn off activity status, limit who can see your stories, turn off read receipts for messages, and be careful about what information you put in your bio. LinkedIn is interesting because people treat it as professional, so they're more trusting. But LinkedIn tracks a lot: what articles you read, which profiles you look at, how you interact with posts. You can turn off most of this tracking in the privacy settings, though it's buried pretty deep. The reality is you're not going to stop all data collection, but you can make it harder and less valuable. Think of it like locking your car. It won't stop a determined thief with a tow truck, but it'll make the opportunist move on to an easier target. Here's another thing people don't think about: public Wi-Fi. I still see people doing online banking in Java houses here in Nairobi. Public Wi-Fi is essentially like shouting your internet traffic across a crowded room. Anyone with basic technical skills can intercept it. Even if the Wi-Fi has a password, if it's shared publicly, your traffic isn't really private. If you have to use public Wi-Fi, stick to browsing websites that use HTTPS. You'll see the lock icon in your browser. Don't log into anything important. Don't enter credit card numbers, and definitely don't do online banking. Better yet, use your phone's hotspot feature instead. Your cellular data connection is much more secure than public Wi-Fi. Most phones include hotspot data now, and it's worth using it in situations where you need to access something sensitive. Then there's the smart home stuff: Alexa, Google Home, smart TVs, video doorbells, security cameras. All of this stuff is collecting data about your home life and sending it somewhere. I'm not saying don't use any of it, but be aware of what you're trading. Your Amazon Echo is listening for its wake word all the time. Sometimes it mishears something and starts recording when you didn't mean to activate it. Amazon employees have listened to thousands of these accidental recordings. Smart TVs are particularly sneaky. They track what you watch, obviously, but also what's playing in the background when the TV is on. Some of them have cameras and microphones that can be activated remotely. Many of them scan for other devices on your network. You can usually turn off most of the tracking in the TV's settings, but it's not obvious how to do it. Look for things like personalized advertising on viewing data or smart features. Turn off whatever you can live without. And honestly, the biggest thing is just being aware. When something is free, you're usually the product being sold. When an app asks for permissions, there's a reason. When a company has a data breach, your information might be in there. I think a lot of people assume that their information isn't valuable or interesting enough to worry about, but data brokers don't care if you're interesting. They care if you're predictable. And everyone is predictable in some ways. You know, your shopping habits, your location patterns, your social connections, your browsing history, all of this has value to someone. Maybe it's advertisers who want to sell you stuff. Maybe it's insurance companies who want to assess your risk profile. Maybe it's employers who want to know what kind of person you are. The Cambridge Analytica thing was a wake-up call for a lot of people. Millions of Facebook profiles were harvested to build psychological profiles for political advertising. But that's just one example that got a lot of press. Similar stuff happens all the time with much less fanfare. Data gets sold, traded, aggregated, analyzed. Your grocery store loyalty card data gets combined with your social media data, gets combined with your location data. Pretty soon, companies know more about your habits than you do. I'm not saying become paranoid about everything, but maybe, just maybe, we could all stop handing over our digital lives quite so freely. Start small. Pick one thing from this list and do it this week. Check your app permissions, set up a throwaway email, try a different browser, change your social media privacy settings. You don't have to do everything at once. The goal isn't perfect privacy. That's probably impossible unless you want to live like it's 1995. The goal is making thoughtful choices about what you share and with whom. I am still figuring out the balance between convenient and private myself, but at least now I know what I'm trading away. Oh, one last thing. Follow or subscribe to me on the platform you are listening from. You will probably not get hacked that way.